joining us as he always does at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. I'm here at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame studios. All right, on today, we're going to get into LSU men's and women's hoops, both with giant wins this week. LSU goes on the road. They're an underdog. They're 2.5, 3-point underdog against Florida. They pick up a big win, hang on after blowing a large lead. LSU women at home survive in overtime. Wasn't a thing of beauty, but they nonetheless get it done. Kim Mulkey, I think she'd give her the National Coach of the Year award right now. I don't even think there's much to even talk about. I think that LSU can almost collapse the rest of the way, and she deserves to get the National Coach of the Year award. We'll get into that. Also, LSU football active in the portal. They signed another player, running back out of Penn State, who's from the Baton Rouge area, went to IMG Academy. LSU's got to hit home runs in that transfer portal. I mean, we're not talking about just add to the roster to get the numbers up. We're talking about these dudes that they're signing have to be starters, or if you're a running back, maybe they play two running backs. Got to be in the rotation and get it done because every one of those transfer portal spots, which you can have 7 of them, are super, super valuable. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Let me bring in TK, NFL football, of course. Tommy takes with his Meat and Potatoes USA with a lot of NFL football, of course, this weekend. But bring in TK. How about your girl Kim Mulkey, man? I mean, this is obviously you were excited like everybody when she got the job at LSU, and I mean, she just keeps surpassing expectations. I had no doubt she was going to be a winner, that she was going to get it done. But I mean, this quickly, and the train just keeps rolling for her in LSU women's basketball.
Man, well, her resume speaks for itself, and nothing she's going to do is going to surprise me. We had a bunch of us watching the game last night at a local watering hole, and everybody's just like, "This is amazing. This is amazing." And she goes to overtime and gets the win, and I think it's safe to say they're not going to win every game remaining on their schedule. But man, has she put some excitement into the women's basketball program at LSU. And Will Wade's doing the same thing. Great time to be a LSU hoops fan and just keep going to the Pete Maravich Assembly Center and supporting those players.
The thing about Kim Mulkey is that I guess women's basketball. To me, women's college basketball, Tommy, reminds me of, say, college baseball in the 80s, and where there was just a small number of teams that realistically have a chance to be in the Final Four or win a national championship. It was college baseball in the 80s, you had the Blue Bloods, programs like the Miamis and the Texas and the USCs and the Arizona States and that kind of thing. The Oklahoma States, the Wichita States, it was like the same core teams that were really had a chance to win it all. And coaches could make a big difference. Like Skip Bertman was so far ahead of everybody in the SEC when he got there, and with his coaching and implementation, that there was such giant gaps. There were certain programs that were never going to beat LSU, or never going to get close to being like LSU. Whereas now, say in college baseball, there's so many good coaches, there's so many good programs. The scholarship limitations kind of level the field, and everybody's got nice ballparks, not just Alex Box, and things like that. So it makes it a little harder for a coach to just completely dominate the opponent because everybody else is so educated. Kim Mulkey is so far ahead of the rest of the programs outside of the core 8, that she makes a giant difference. She makes a giant difference in recruiting. She makes a giant difference in the way she works, the way she demands her staff. They're just so far ahead of most programs that's why you're able to see one individual and her vision make such a difference immediately.
Well, she's been a winner from day one. From the day she was born, she's been a winner. And she's been around some great people in the world of women's basketball as a player, as an assistant coach, going to the Olympics, as a head coach. And she's learned that she's put together a formula or a recipe for success. And like you said, Ronnie, we didn't know how fast she would do all this at LSU. We figured it would get done. We couldn't put a timeline on it, but wow, she's trending quicker than anybody thought.
Chance with a comment, and I'll explain this here in a minute because I actually said something. I think I said something to you, Tommy. I know I said something to other people. So Nikki Fargas, the former LSU women's basketball coach, she works for the Las Vegas team in the WNBA in the front office, but she's also, moonlights on the side as a broadcaster and an in-studio analyst for ESPN and the SEC network. And so it's so awkward seeing Nikki Fargas on ESPN. She must feel like crap seeing LSU's success. Chance noticed what I noticed is that Nikki Fargas is in studio. And, of course, LSU is doing so well. There's so many thousands of people that are at the games. And it does feel awkward. And it almost feels like ESPN, to a certain degree, tries to not put her in as many awkward situations as possible. You've yet to hear, oh, my God, Kim Mulkey's doing such an amazing job. It's the best story in college basketball, how they've got, thousands of fans and everybody's supporting the program. She won't say that. And it's kind of ridiculous. And I know that hurts and I know that it feels weird, but you got to say it. You got to do it because it's so true. Stevie Wonder could see. But it's funny.
It's hurting her credibility. The fact that she can't just turn the page and be honest and talk about what you need to talk about in the role that she's in, And the same thing with the South Carolina coach that took a shot at Kim Mulkey that I think that coach has got it coming one day from Mulkey. But, I guess the bottom line is we're talking about it, and that's what the SEC wants. That's what ESPN wants. They want us to talk about it. But I suspect Fargas is not going to be in that position long.
Well, see, I disagree because she's actually looks good, is good as far as what she says and all. The LSU thing aside, I don't know that ESPN would get rid of her just for that. But I think it's. I mean, look, LSU was good to her. I don't know how many millions of dollars she made in her 10 years, but 7, 6, 7, 8 million, whatever. She made millions of dollars. LSU kind of let her skate by the last 3 years, probably, maybe even the last 4 years, where probably most coaches would have been fired. She just slid under the radar. They had bigger fish to fry, COVID, whatever. They just didn't want to go there. They didn't know that anybody cared. And I think LSU basketball got it right, Tommy, because when it comes to women's basketball, you either got to go big or go home. There's not enough inherent fans for women's basketball that just love it no matter who's playing, no matter who's coaching or whatever. You either had to go get a splash hire like a Kim Mulkey or one of the great college coaches in the country that can make a difference right away and get the fans energized, or you go get the cheapest coach you can get and just get by and check your Title IX box that, hey, I got a team. But they waited and they got it right and they hit a home run and they'll get benefit of that for 10 years. But let's see. Stephen Miller saying, I saw yesterday on Twitter on an analytics page where LSU Women's Hoops had the second most interaction / mentions on Twitter last weekend behind UConn. That is pretty unbelievable right there. And you're talking about Gino Auriemma, you're talking about UConn. That's a program that's been at the top of the mountain for the last 25 years. And for LSU to be up there with them, the second most interactions on Twitter, means they're trending in the right direction. So curious to see how it's going to affect recruiting. I mean, we know that South Carolina had 9 or 11 McDonald's All-Americans on their team. We know Connecticut's always got them. I just can't wait to see Kim Mulkey and the recruiting train get rolling.
Well, and that's what I'm going to interject this. That's why we ask you to like and share this video, because the interactions and the shares and all that helps things grow. So we do appreciate the many of you that do that, like and share Sports Shorts and Sports Shorts Radio and everything we do. It's easy to do, but it helps. When you just hit that like button, or more importantly, when you hit the share button, you really help. But yeah, Ronnie, I mean, it's the hottest basketball program in the country now. I agree with you. If the Coach of the Year award goes out tonight, it goes to her. Now, that could change in the coming months, but it's fun. It's great to have that to talk about, and and she's on the headlines a little higher than Will Wade, and he's doing a great job. She's knocked him off the top of the line headlines, and he's a close second right now. in the world of LSU sports. And, baseball is going to get its spot here in a month. But, wow, it's fun. I think it's great. And the fans, it's a good time to be an LSU sports fan with what soccer did. You throw in gymnastics and golf. And, man, it's just a good time to be an LSU sports fan. But you're going to have to be patient with football, even though they getting active in the transfer portal. I think it's going to be a work in progress. But they may benefit by something we've talked about. College football is just not the college football we've all known and loved. It has changed significantly. And that's not just the LSU or the SEC. That's nationwide.
Well, before we talk a little football, I want to thought on Will Wade, on General Will Wade, right? Both he and the women's teams come in this week ranked 12th in the country. They both pick up wins. They're both headed towards the top 10, which would be an unbelievable story. LSU goes on the road, and that's a tough place to play. I know the Gators are 0-3 now in conference after losing to LSU. But
that was a Sports Shorts Daily free pick.
Yeah.
Bingo.
LSU on the road, that's a tough place to play over there at the McConnell Center. And they had an 8-9 point lead at halftime. They got it up to around 14-15. And then all of a sudden they had to hold on for dear life. But they did. LSU had 3 players in double digits. Day had 20 points. I think it's a good thing for Will Wade, Tommy, to fly a little under the radar, right? He there's a spotlight on him for, again, going back a few years, we're still waiting for stuff to drop, or at least stuff to not drop. And they say the investigation's closed and we have nothing more to say. So I think for Will Wade, he's fine with it. I know he knows that because Mitt Mulkey's there and they're doing well, that's going to benefit his program. You saw where he ranted the other day about facilities and things need to improve. After one of the games at the press conference, this is all good for him. That 5,000 to 8,000 fans that are going to come for women's basketball all goes towards the pot. All goes towards helping basketball facilities, including men's and women's. So I think this is I think Will Wade's a very happy camper, and I do believe both the teams will get into the top 10 before the year's over with.
I agree, and it could be next week, especially, what happens Saturday, Sunday. But, it's exciting, man, and Will Wade's going to benefit from it. And, like I said, I don't think either one of them are going to win every game remaining on their schedule. I'm not saying either one are going to win the conference or the national championship, but right now it's great.
By the way, Sharif O'Neal, good to see him back. He's not a giant part of this team, but he had 4 points and 3 or 4 rebounds and did a nice job in his limited minutes. Glad to see he's healthy. It's always great to have Shaquille O'Neal's kid contributing and being a part of the program, big, small, or otherwise.
Right.
You want Shaq to be happy. You want that warm and fuzzy storyline. You want that warm and fuzzy feeling of him continuing to endorse the program. Can't do nothing but help you. Will it help you in a monetarily way? Maybe not. Will it help you in recruiting and all that, just to feel his presence with the program? And if he shows up once a year, yes, no doubt. So good to see Sharif O'Neal hanging in there and back healthy and with the Tigers. All right, let's talk LSU football for a minute, Tommy. Hasn't been a lot of good news over the other than since they hired Kelly. I know a lot of people have been disappointed with with all the coaches being gone, minus Davis, all the workers in the office, minus Yael, who did confirm she is, she survived all the whacks. She's the admin, the secretary, the main assistant, and has been for 20 plus years. So she survives, and Davis survives, the interim coach and O-line coach. Everybody else is gone except for trainers and equipment managers. So it's overhaul. Players are entering the portal. LSU's lost 10 players, I think, in the portal. Alabama's lost 7 or 8 so far, so they're not immune to it. But LSU, Tommy, has got to hit a home run when it comes to the portal. Like, they all got to play. Like, they can't be, we missed 2 or 3. You only get 7. They all got to play.
Yeah, I agree completely. We always talked about when you sign 25, 4 or 5 of them ain't going to work out, okay, for whatever reason. They got to go 7 for 7 or at bare minimum 6 for 7 in that transfer portal. But, Ronnie, that's college football. That's what it is now. That's what it has become. And lots of teams are in the same boat as LSU. It's just, who can get the work done between now and September and put a team out there that can win football games. I mean, it's wild and crazy, man. It's the NCAA has really screwed up college football with their lack of being prepared for NIL and with this transfer portal. Not so much that those two things exist, because I'm like you, what you said Wednesday. I'm glad players, student athletes in the NCAA can make more money. You and I were both student athletes in the NCAA. We'd have made more money. But, the fact that they don't have any rules and they didn't get out in front of this, and they're not, it's a wild, wild west with no sheriff. And if you're a college football fan, we talked the other day, right? There's going to be fans that say, I'm not watching that late game for the West Coast. I'm going to find something else better to do with my time. I'm not going to watch the early game because I got to go run to the grocery store. I mean, before people would be locked in. They want to go nowhere. And I think it's unfortunate, but we got to let this play a little bit, let it play out, like you always say, and see what happens in the coming years.
Just a few players to watch to see. The Tigers, of course, in the LSU football and the transfer portal have secured commitments from Miles Frazier, the big left tackle, offensive lineman, defensive backs, Mekhi Garner, and out of UL, Joe Fauci out of Arkansas. They picked up the running back yesterday from Penn State. That's a Baton Rouge native who went to IMG. It was a 4-star out of high school just a couple of years ago, got hurt in 20 and then played in 21. There are 3 or 4 main players that they know LSU. We know LSU is out there actively looking at. One is Michael Triggs, big tight end from USC, 6'4", 245-pounder, dual sport athlete. LSU, South Carolina are busy on him for football and basketball. Kyron Lacey, wide receiver from UL, already is holding an offer. Some other players, the Wingo kid, Mekhi Wingo, defensive tackle from Missouri, had a breakout freshman season last year. He's one of the more highly sought players and has already settled into, being a top 4 type guy on defense. He holds offers from LSU, Oklahoma, Arkansas, USC. And then Greg Brooks, junior defensive back from Arkansas, a teammate of Fauci, who's from West Jeff High School. So hopefully, fingers crossed, the Tigers land some of those. Let's see. Stephen Miller talking about transfers. He says, you can tell the impact Noah Cain had on Penn State's program all over Twitter last night. The Penn State fans were nothing but well-wishing him the best at LSU. I don't know. Is that a good thing that they're okay with him leaving? I mean, nice guy and all, but maybe they don't think he's that great of a player. It's like, oh, we wish him the best. If he was a really good player, it'd be like, that son of a bitch, So,
yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you can spin that either way. You're right, Ronnie.
Also, Wingo's high school coach is on the LSU staff. That's the defensive lineman from Missouri. So that definitely can be a help. And of course, yeah, Brooks did commit to us. That's right. Brooks committed. So that's great. Look, they got to be right with the transfer portal. I mean, they got to be right with these guys because they're so deficient on the numbers that these dudes have to come in and play right away and make an impact. And I said all along when LSU was disappointed in the early signing period in December, and they were pretty much ranked around 15th in the country. As far 15 to 20 was kind of where most people had them ranked for the class. I said, look, I do believe that LSU will have a top 10 recruiting class when all's said and done. When you get all the college, high school players in, all the transfer players in, and it's middle of February, I do believe that they will have a top 10 recruiting class. Won't be top 5, but I think they'll get into that top 10. And look, as long as LSU is always a top 10 recruiting class, you should be able to compete and give yourself chances to win a West once every 4 or 5 years, something like that.
The game of college football is going to suffer from the standpoint that every roster is going to have huge turnover nationwide in the Power 5 and in the Group of 5 conferences. The NFL has survived with that, but that's the elite of the elite players. You can plug people in with Brady or plug people in with Aaron Rodgers and have success. I'm just curious the overall quality of football, that continuity of the guys that played together for a couple of years, that offensive line that played together for a couple of years. That's all going to go away. But, because one of the reasons guys are transferring is they can't get on the field where they're at. Okay, so think about that. So it doesn't mean they're,
Well,
the
not all of
NFL
them,
process.
not all.
And Ronnie, there's over 2,600 people and players in the transfer portal. You could form two conferences with that many players. But again, some of those guys have left because they couldn't get on the field where they were.
Yeah. Yeah. So LSU, LSU plucks two starters for Arkansas and the defensive back, both of them, of course, natives of New Orleans. Greg Brooks actually, tweeted, "I'm coming home" yesterday. He's a Harvey guy, WestJet. That's two starters. One of them being a captain at Arkansas. That's the thing is that, yeah, there are some players that transfer because they're upset at the lack of playing time. But I think now, Tommy, it's more about either a situation where you're upgrading to a better pro. Let's say you're at UL. Hey, you had the greatest year in the history of years, and you end up in a New Orleans Bowl, and you end up with 31,000 fans for the largest game in the history of the campus. LSU would fire the AD, the head coach, and everybody involved if they had 31,000 fans for a football game, right? So, you're upgrading. If you're Arkansas, hey, you had a fantastic year, but can we realistically keep this up? Not to mention both of those players are from the state of Louisiana. So it's an upgrade for them. Where LSU's going to be in trouble is their players going into the portal because, quite frankly, Tommy, they're getting paid. This is all about putting together a pot of money. You saw Gordon McKernan on TV, being interviewed and stuff. He's one of the first public guys, quick to the party. But what they're trying to do is catch up with some of the other programs that have already done it. They've already put together these, companies and trusts and things like that where they garner money together. And this is how much we got each year right now to go get players in the transfer portal. So what's happening is it's not that they're not playing and being happy. It's, hey, Tommy, I want to put my name in the transfer portal and say, what you got for me? How much you going to give me? I'll come be, I'll play for you for a year. How much money are you going to give me? They're a free agent. These are 1-year free agent contracts, and that's the God's honest truth. And it goes back to you saying how the NCAA did put enough parameters. They didn't have enough structure in this transfer portal, and now everything's getting exposed because these dudes are straight up 1-year free agents, and it's all about how much money you're going to give me.
But am I correct? I thought I read, Ronnie, and we might have to look this up unless you're certain of it, that you can only transfer one time and be immediately eligible. Is that correct? You can transfer more than once, but only one time to be immediately eligible.
Unless you
maybe
have
that'll slow the roll a little bit. What?
Unless you have circumstances, right? Well, and what I mean by that is they came out with you can transfer 1 year and be eligible right away. They did that, in this last year, Tommy. But prior to that, we were seeing guys leaving and transferring and coming up with all kinds of excuses to be eligible. There wasn't a lot of no's. The NCAA prior to COVID, there was transferring going on. Obviously wasn't as prevalent as it is now, but there was transferring going on, and you had guys coming up with whatever bullshit reasons that they want. And say, yep. So now that you are already doing that, now you've got the 1-year transfer portal. It's not going to surprise me that if a player transfers more than once, that he's eligible more than once.
Okay, that might be a case-by-case basis, but just add, there's always. We're in a spot where the conversation about everything off the field is going to be far greater than the stuff on the field.
Chance saying that he's been keeping up with A&M and that they're prorating their NIL yearly so they don't transfer. Listen, what he means by that is like they're not giving them the lump sum right up front to come there, and I get that. And look, the NIL deals, you can do whatever you want with them. You can structure them however you want. You can say to a player, hey, you want to sign this NIL deal? There's a clause in here that says if you leave my school, you owe me to give me all the money back. I'm gonna pay you. You can do whatever you want. Players got to decide whether they want to take it or not. If I'm a player and I got all these rules and limitations, and you're going to pay me off over 10 years at this school, but then this school says I'm gonna give it all to you right now. It's all a negotiation. So there's no rules that you have to do it by. It's all a negotiation. By the way, you were telling me before we went on air about an NIL deal with LSU baseball.
Yeah, Coach Jay Johnson spoke at the Rotary Club in Baton Rouge and mentioned that there's a player who got an NIL deal, and the parents called up Jay Johnson. We're going to give him a scholarship back now that he made all this money. Now, they did not identify the player as of yet, but Jay Johnson made it perfect statement. He said, I'm not wild about all this NIL stuff, but I better figure it out and find out how it best helps my program, which is what every coach needs to do. When they make a rule change or you throw in the portal or you throw in NIL, all coaches now have to do the best they can with what is the cards are being played. So, yeah. So, and I think in the, LSU baseball is basically a little over a month away from the home opener on February 18th. So, we're going to have to see. I think we're going to see a lot right before the season starts of more with the LSU baseball players and perhaps a softball player or two. But, Ronnie, back to the football and the 1-year free agency. We like to make picks. We like to give out free picks, and I got meatandpotatoesusa.com. It's going to become harder to be successful gambling. And then now you can gamble. You got the sports book at the LeBairs and the kiosk, and it's just going to be harder to pick games than it's ever been because you're going to have less knowledge and info about what a team, are they really good? And, I mean, it's going to get tough, but we're going to keep plugging away. We'll keep giving you picks and having fun.
So, by the way, Steven dropping this on us. Devonta Lee just entered the transfer portal, the junior wide receiver from A-Meat. So there you go. There's that number 11. I don't know. I'm losing track, man. 11 players in the transfer portal. I mean, it's this is. I don't know if it's going to be the. I don't want to be overreaction Friday and say this is going to be the death of college football, the transfer portal. But I can tell you this from my perspective, just Ronnie Rance as a fan, not Ronnie Rance as a broadcaster, or Ronnie Rance is doing radio and TV or doing post game interviews for CST and things like that. Yeah, that guy, great. Transfer portal's great. Gives us something to talk about every day. He's just, who's in, who's out, have a reaction, learn a little bit about this guy. That's fine. That doesn't bother me from that point of standpoint. But as a fan, as somebody who's emotionally invested, as someone who went to that school and loves that school and was a fan as a kid and will be a fan to the day I die, it's just so oogie. It's just so oogie. It's taken a lot out of me to really care. And I think it's going to be one extreme time. You're either going to have the super fan that's all in, and we need those, right? They're going to have the Gordons and the others. They're going to put their money up every year, and you mentor players and pay off guys, and put it. But I don't. This is just gross, Tommy. I mean, literally, by the time you learn the player's name and where he's from and all about him, he's out.
Yeah,
he's already gone.
It's changed. It's changed, and it's changing. And I'm not sure where it's going. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. But I don't think it's going in a good direction based on what you and I, as sportscasters and sports fans, have known college football to be. My grandsons are going to grow up, and college football is going to be a whole different thing to them.
I would love, we've been talking for years about a super conference or the Power Five breaking off and kind of doing their own thing and that sort of deal. To me, let's expedite that, right? Let's pull and not that it's going to make it any more interesting for me as a guy who's already bothered by the fact that there's like Van Lines is loving this, right? They're just sitting there. Okay, who am I moving out today? Who am I moving in, right? I mean, we need to do NIL transfer movers.com, or whatever. And Tom, you and I go move people all over the country. But I at least, I mean, there's no chance the ULs of the world and the Sun Belt Conference teams and in the MAC and all these lesser the non-Power Five, there's no way they can compete. None at all. You're never going to see a Cincinnati again, right?
I was just going to say Cincinnati will never be in the playoffs again in football. Never. It's never going to happen because they're not going to be able to keep up with them 10, 12 teams. They're never going to do it again. I give them all the credit in the world for getting there this year. I like Luke Fickell as a coach. I've seen lots of interviews with him, as everybody did when he had the success he had. I was very impressed by him. They're never going to be in the playoff again. That's a fact.
Steven's saying, I question how long these big businesses will continue to shell out money for players when they leave after a year. I don't know, just my opinion. I think what has to happen, Steven, is that, you're going to have to – the way if I was LSU, I would structure it, all right, what's going to be your annual donation? don't get caught up right now in the emotion and give me more than you can afford. But where is the sweet spot? If it's you can contribute $50,000 a year to the pot, from your business, and we know we got you down for 50. It's almost like a TAF donations. All right, how much can you give me on the annual basis? And you just got to go around to everybody that cares and loves LSU that has some sort of tie or business or want to be a part of that group, and you just got to get that commitment. Like, no, I know you can give me 200,000 today, but then if you give me 200,000, maybe you're not going to give me any more money for the next 5 years. I'd rather know what it is that I can have on the books, and you just got to put that in a pot. And then you've got $1.5 million, whatever the number is. This is what we have on an annual basis. We'll have some years where somebody will give us one-offs, but we know this is what we have. And then you've got basically a salary cap, and that's what it is.
Texas A&M's got $30 million in the pot annually. That's not like one big pot. That's every year they've got commitments to $30 million. But here's the other thing, Ronnie, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. If you make a donation to TAF, that's tax deductible. If you do an NIL, then there's tax ramifications.
Well, if you do it as an individual, it's tax deductible.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Hang on. The rule that changed a couple of years ago was that it's not tax deductible. It's no longer tax deductible like it used to be. If you did it as your business. And so that was the change, was that people were running it through their business before and able to take, a deduction. You can't do that anymore. It has to be only as a nonprofit, as an individual, minus what you receive, for it, your cost of tickets or whatever. So you give $100,000, your tickets cost 20, your deduction part is not the tickets, it's the 80 that you donated. But that has to come out of your individual account. You can't do it out of Ronnie Rant's dry cleaning, like it doesn't work anymore. So that was a game changer about 3 years ago or something like that.
Well, but I don't think you need to worry because the IRS is so far behind. There's people who haven't gotten last year's refunds yet. We're about to have a deadline. I read an article the other day how they just swamped. They got no shot at catching up. So,
So you're saying if you're going to play the game, now's the time.
Play it because they're never going to get to you.
The big Byron Painter up in Alexandria asking how do players maintain amateur status now that they're getting paid? Well, that's the whole wink, wink, nod, nod is that they're amateurs because of the NIL deal.
Ronnie, okay, I've said this before. In the early 80s, I was getting $20 a week laundry money in the fall so we could wash our clothes because we had to stay for baseball practice. We had a $20 bill in the locker every Friday. So
and you were just an average pitcher. Maybe the good pitcher got $40 in his locker.
No, I got to check into that, but that was because we supposedly had to pay we went right to the brown door into the presser and we drank beer because they washed our clothes anyway. But
right,
so it's always been not an amateur. And then we had the local sporting goods store give everybody spikes and gloves every year. So technically we weren't amateurs then, but there's now the numbers and the equipment and stuff's just through the roof. Some people don't know how many things an LSU baseball player gets when they issue like all the practice stuff and the hats and the Oakleys and the spikes and the socks and the batting gloves. It'd fill up 2 8-foot tables what each player gets every year at this time.
Let's give us a quick take on. We'll talk plenty more on Sports Shorts radio tomorrow morning from 10 to noon. We'll be at the Bruley walk-on. So if you want to come have lunch with us, the doors open at 11 o'clock. And then, of course, 1 to 3, Tommy will be over and Hold the Rope Radio at Sammy's tomorrow, special edition. No Sunday night because of NFL. So go by Sammy's and you can have double lunch. Come get the shrimp with us at Walk-Ons and Bruley, which are the best fried shrimp in the state. And then go over to Sammy's at 1 o'clock. What's your go-to over there?
The black and red fish. It's big time. It's really, really good with a little stuffed potato. Boom. And then here's the number one ranked dessert in the world is at Sammy's, the Mississippi mud pie. That's all I'm saying. Yes. If you go over there and get it, you'll thank me. Skip loves the Mississippi mud pie.
Skip's a big Mississippi Mud.
Oh, he loves it. They told too much sugar for him, but he eats a little bit of it because he just likes it so much.
Nice. All right, a quick take from meatandpotatoesusa.com. We got a lot of NFL games this weekend, Tommy. 2 or 3 you really like?
Wow, we're going to have a lot of posts on that. Stephen Miller hit a basketball pick last night at meatandpotatoesusa.com. So if you're going to bet the playoffs, the one I like, I'm going to give you this one. The under in the Bills-Patriots Sunday night. It's supposed to be single-digit temperatures and minus 15, it's supposed to be what it feels like.
Right.
And, and so go under 44 Bills-Patriots on Sunday night. There's going to be a lot of picks posted by Anthony, Trey, myself, Stephen at meatandpotatoesusa.com all weekend because you got NFL Saturday, Sunday, and the Monday night. Rams-Cardinals go Monday night. So if you're making money betting, keep doing it. But if you want to make some more money or win some money, check out meatandpotatoesusa.com.
That makes a lot of sense. That pick makes a lot of sense. As a rookie quarterback, I think Jones is going to do well in the NFL. Like I think the dude.
Well, it's the playoffs. It's a whole nother world.
This is the playoffs. He's not coming in on a heater. I think they're going to be conservative with him unless they just get behind a couple scores and they got to start slinging it. I think this is a bad spot for the Patriots. And like I said, with the weather and with the in the playoffs, Tommy, it's survive and advance. There's no such thing as beauty points. Traditionally, you play a little close to the vest. So I like that pick. That makes a lot of sense on paper to take the under. Now, the under is going to be super low. That's the only bad thing is that
44. It's 44.
Ooh, wow. Get it now. Get it now
because it may be 39 by kickoff. Yeah, it's going to drop like the temperature drops, right?
Yeah, that seems high for me.
Hey, I got another one for you, okay? Everybody's falling in love with the 49ers plus 3.5 against the Cowboys. I'm telling you, Dallas is going to get it done. Your Sports Shorts Daily free NFL picks. I got under 44 in the Bills-Patriots and take the Cowboys and lay the points. So Cowboys, Jerry Jones' team's going to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I would buy the hook just because I like to, the 3, overtime and things like that.
3.5 line this morning.
I would buy
it down to 3. Okay.
Yeah, I'd buy it down to 3 if I was a Cowboy fan, just to have a little insurance for that push. That's probably next to the Bengals game. That's the game I'm looking forward to seeing the most because there are a lot of people that think the underdog can win that game. So it's really more of a coin flip. I do want to see Roethlisberger's, final game. So those are the 3 games for me.
Steelers are getting 13.
Ooh, wow. It's a lot of points in the playoffs, Coach.
That's the Chiefs, though.
Yeah. But, the Chiefs have been super inconsistent, man. They started the season off inconsistent. They ended a little bit inconsistent. In between, they've got it rolling. But I'd be oof. That's not a bad – 13's a lot of points. And the Chiefs – like I said, Chiefs have been surviving and advancing, not winning a lot on style points. All right, TK, we'll see you tomorrow morning at Sports Shorts Daily over at the Bruley Walk-Ons. And then, of course, you're headed over to Sammy's for 1 to 3 for Hold the Rope Radio. Check us out on ESPN 104.5, ESPN Baton Rouge. Download the app. You can hear it anywhere in the country. Tell us about Tremonti's before you get out of here.
Lunch special today, fried catfish, topped with crawfish etouffee. That's all I got to say. Tremendous wine selection, whiskey selection, all the Chairman's Reserves meats. They got catering. You need to check out Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Connect on Facebook and Instagram or stop by Jefferson Highway right down the street from Parkview Baptist Church and School. Crawfish coming soon. But, we got plenty of hot menu takes. And you get the fried catfish with the crawfish etouffee, a little salad, a little Ronnie, fried bread. They don't need to say anything else. They serve fried bread with it. So check it all out. And looking forward to tomorrow being I got the doubleheader tomorrow, Ronnie. Let's play 2. I got Sports Shorts Radio, then Hold the Rope Radio, all on ESPN 104.5 Baton Rouge.
And big announcement coming February 1. We'll tell you all about it for you baseball fans. We got a big announcement February 1. So
I can't wait to hear it.
Looking forward to that.
I don't know it.
Yeah. All right.
February 1?
February 1.
Is that your birthday or something? No, your birthday is
May 23rd. Skipping us.
You and Skip. Same
Yeah.
birthday. Yeah. He's a
February
little
1.
bit older than you.
Just a touch. All right,
February 1. Okay, I got to lock that in on my phone. By the way,
Well,
meat and
I don't know,
potatoes.
how does that fall? Feb 1, is that fall Sports Shorts Radio Day? If not, we'll have a special edition. Let me see.
And I'm going to say
No, it's a Tuesday, so we'll have a special edition.
And meatandpotatoesusa.com, you can get that on your mobile phone too. So
Cool.
Go right to it on the phone if you want
All
to
right.
do
We'll
everything.
be back tomorrow morning, Sports Shorts Radio at